Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and today we're going to jump right into the title of the video. Why are they wanting me back if they are still mad? Why do they want me back? I literally get questions like this all the time, but I got three in a row and I pay attention to the synchronicities of three. So today we're going to be doing a little multitasking. I'm doing my hair. And so I'm going to chat with you guys really quickly here for a bit until I have to go about what this means. So, narcissists devalue, discard. They put you up on a pedestal first, then they devalue, then they discard you, and then they pull you back in. So, why do they want you back if they've won? They want you back because they miss you. They want you back because they want the magic back. That's why I put the location as that. They want you back because you were probably their best source. I have clients that were often premium sources, which means that we had often been premium doormats. They want you back because they cannot get that level of care or consideration from anybody else around them. Some of them want you back for really, I mean, it's always selfish, but some of them want you back because they want you to help facilitate energetically paying the bills for someone else. So that's whether that's materially, like actually financially, they want your money to go towards the payment of the bills for another woman or man, depending on your narcissistic preference and your sexual identification or your partners. They want you to energetically pay the bill because usually a subpar supply, and that's always what happens. If you were the premium supply, they will go to a subpar supply who is completely inept. And maybe for a while it fulfills their need of Captain Save-A-Hose, like they have to feel like they are, saving a damsel in distress. The very thing that they edified and loved in you at one time is something that is now poo-pooed and you are seen as too strong, too independent, boring, whatever. A damsel in distress that's disguising themselves is always quite fascinating. So they may definitely go towards that because that is what they want. But they want, and you're like, well, okay, well, they got that person or that whatever, or that situation or that new friend. Why do they want me back? Especially if I know that they're still mad. Like, you intuitively understand, my empaths here, you guys get it, and you understand. Well, they want you back because they want to take you through the same ringer again. They'd like to siphon your energy. Remember this, at their core, narcissists are energy vampires, my loves. So they want to siphon your energy, and then they want to bring you back into the mayhem and the mess. So, bear with me, guys. Your mouth is used when doing hair. Any person of color here understands. All right. So it's used for holding tools or pieces of hair or the crocheting needle or whatever. Today I'm doing some crochets. So what I will tell you is this. It is a situation where they really want to have your energy back. That's why. Do they love you? No. Do they realize the error of their ways? No. Do they miss you? Yes. And someone who misses you can make that really a confusing thing because you'll think, well, they miss me. That must be good. Like, that's great. We want them to miss us. Yes, we do. Hold on one second, guys. We do want them to be. Who doesn't want to be missed? Like, let's just talk about our human nature. Forget about the diagnosis. Forget about the person. Forget about the mental illness. Do we want to be missed if we feel like we poured into someone's life? Of course we do. But that is a trap, sweet empath, and that's why I say divest, divest, divest. A lot of people have written me and said that is really cruel. That hurts. Also, SDF Sky, if you are watching, do not think I forgot about you. I have been traveling a great deal and I'm off for more here. And it will be that way for the next couple of months. It's just, booked and busy in all the best ways. But the next time I am on camera, I have a little treat for you. I promise you. It's you. You're up next. I literally have printed out your letter so that I can take it with me wherever I'm at, so that way I can do that. So I will be doing an on-camera video about your letter specifically. So you are next as my next on camera. The next time I'm on camera, it will be your letter. All right. So that's a little message for Sky, guys. Stay tuned for that because she, um, mm, pardon me, she wrote me just an incredibly harrowing and heroic letter. Both of those words are true for what was contained in that letter. She was subjected to more than just stay tuned. And she extracted herself and built something for herself that's extraordinary. So anyway, I'm so proud of you, and I mean that. But I can't wait to share that. And your letter deserves more than a voiceover, so there will be that. I promise you. All right. So these people want you back because they want to torture you again. That's the long and the short of it. For a new person here that just stumbled across it, you've been going through narcissistic abuse. You're watching everything on YouTube that everybody puts out, and you got here. That's why. Understand that and never deviate from that, because if you do, you'll be lying to yourself and you will walk yourself back into the bear trap. They would like to destroy you. They would like to energetically rip you limb from limb. And I know you're like, oh my gosh, Mona, that's so dramatic, that's so intense. No, it's not. It's real. This is the reality of people that are toxic and abusive. How dare you leave them? But if you need motivation, because let's say you're tempted, let's say it was great sex, let's say it was a great connection to your, understanding. And again, great sex with a narcissist is relative, because great sex always stops with a narcissist. Narcissists don't have stamina. I'm not talking about initially, and I'm not talking about when they're trying to get you. Oh, they have stamina then, but they are fantastic. And I mean, it is textbook. They utilize their sexuality to punish. So trust me, if you think you've ever had great sex with a narcissist, really evaluate how long that happened and when did it start to peter off. Healthy sexual relationships go the distance. They run a duration. And my angels have really laid it on my heart, which is a weird thing. Just a heads up, 7 up for some of my subscribers, to teach a little bit about sexual education in a healthy way. Not the boring stuff happening biology class when we were in high school, but like real life on the ground. Guys, I've even like purchased all of the right tools and everything, because I'm like, well, it can be done on YouTube in a tasteful way. And so we're going to talk about that, because I've had a lot of questions about that, which, and that's something that happens in my practice. I work with clients, and I'm an unofficial sex therapist. I am not a sex therapist at all. But when people ask me questions, I'm very free to share whatever I know. And because I have experiences on both ends of the spectrum, I think I have a little something to offer there. So stay tuned for that. That has been on my heart, and I've been trying to figure out the best way to facilitate that for you. But sex with a narcissist, not a real thing. Okay, guys? Yes, it's a real thing. Of course, yes, some of you guys had sex with your narcissist. It was real. But watch how they utilize their sexual energy. And also, this is a great deal of their drive. Sexual addiction with narcissism isn't so much because they have just a standard run-of-the-mill addiction. It's because what they're looking for are new energy sources. Now, this is why, even though they won, maybe they discarded you, maybe you discarded them, but they want you back. Now, let's say you discarded them. Let's say you got hip to the game. Maybe it was not your first rodeo with a narcissist, so you kind of knew what was coming, so you exited stage left before they could really start to treat you, in the most cravenous and low vibrational ways. Can I tell you, the way that they want you back is only compounded by like 100, because now they have to punish you and prove to you that they have the upper hand. They have to take their power back. So if you ever go back to a narcissist after having told them the truth, because the truth is kryptonite for narcissists. If you ever go back to a narcissist, after you've told them the truth about who they are, or why you don't want to be there, why you're not attracted, or whatever, they will seek to punish you. But more often than not, if they can pull you back in and have you be the emotional caretaker for whatever inept, lazy, slovenly, immature, verbally abusive supply that that they gravitated to, excuse me, that will be a primary thing that happens, and they will try to use you for that. And I've had people tell me about paying for other people's bills and stuff like that. In the beginning of the discard for the last covert that I dealt with, she definitely was siphoning my energy to try to feed this other person. And I didn't understand it. I mean, I understood that there was jealousy and this and that, but at first I didn't understand it. I was like, you wanted this relationship, you manifested it, you saw fit to lie to me about it, so then I would think that you are well equipped to manage it. She was not. She wanted me to manage it for her, as I had managed everything else. She was emotionally ill-equipped to work with the person she was working with. And I will say that that was an extenuating circumstance. But what she started to do, financially and emotionally, was utilize my resources to try to take care of this person, gifting her things I would give her, whatever the case it may be. If I put money for her, it would be utilized for that person, and whatever. And I've talked about this before, having her tell me she's so jealous we're hanging out. And I didn't understand it, because I thought, well, I know for sure the new supply wants just your attention and time. What is she jealous of? But what you guys don't realize is those new supplies get really infatuated and obsessed with you. Think of Nicole Kessinger Googling and looking up Shanann Watts a year and a half prior to Chris and Nicole admitting they were even in a relationship. So whether or not he realized it, she was plotting on him, but who she was really plotting on was Shanann, and it seems like her objective was met, even if it was carried out via Chris and highly suggestible things. Another reason that I tell you to stay clear is specifically for that situation. Now that is at its heightened, most cravenous, low vibrational, demonic energy, but that is exactly what happens with the new supply. And if you add in drug use or inebriation of any kind, they are allowing spiritual entities to be attached. So a lot of people go back thinking like, okay, we can fix it, or now they realize the grass isn't greener. And they may actually know that the grass isn't greener, but still have a very real addiction to whomever the new supply is. Addiction, you may say, Monette, that's not right. How could they be addicted if I was so good? Because lower vibrational people will be addicted to one another. It is like par for the course. Then they pull you back in and it ends up in a murderous plot. You guys, we're not going to talk about it on YouTube, but it is what it is. And true crime is a huge genre on YouTube that I think a lot of us here probably enjoy to some degree and watch. I don't want any of us to become that story. Those stories exist in great part. I would say like 75% of them are crimes of passion, quote unquote passion, right? And what that means is that someone is so infatuated, obsessed, or in love that they lose themselves, and they carry out grave acts against someone that they once called a loved one. And narcissists have the capacity to either hype up someone, meaning to manipulate emotionally someone to do that, or they will get with someone who is low vibrational that would do that. And so that was a great motivator for me. My circumstance was tinged with all kinds of buzzwords that would make anybody jump out of their skin if you were me. But and that's what they wanted, was me out of my skin. So I stayed clear for a lot of reasons. But one of the things that my angels worked on me too with is when you're in a karmic relationship, you'll lose money. So even being associated with that person who was attached to such a low vibrational person, in my case specifically, was causing me not to thrive and catapult financially to where I really was supposed to be, or continue to go or climb. And the second, and I've said this a million times for those of you that have been here, but if this is your first video, you're just getting out of a NARC relationship and you're still attached emotionally, and there's still an addiction, there's still a cord, you haven't cut the cords yet, you haven't used the salt yet to get rid of them. Check out my video on salt divorces. The reason that I tell you this is because it doesn't happen overnight that you feel free of them and grateful for your freedom. You will go back, especially, let's say it's a narcissistic parent, and that dynamic, pardon me guys, told you we're doing hair. So it's time to open new packages. That dynamic, regarding your person and their person, what was I saying, guys? That dynamic, let's say, is not, if it's a parent, they're still under the thrall of the parent, or they still may need something from the parent, or they still might need energy or whatever it is. What I want you to understand is that if they're still attached to that person, you will lose money. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. You will lose money. And if you are a person who's financially motivated, please divest from whomever you think is so wonderful and watch your coins go up. And I'll tell you, my angels are so funny. They know me well. They know what a worker I am. Bit of a workaholic. Definitely been working on that a lot lately. Or being cognizant, at least, to work on it. And one of the things I will tell you is that was a huge motivator for me. They were like, would you like to move on to the next level of your life? Or would you like to be stuck in purgatory financially? Because both of these two people are impoverished. So if one of you guys here needs to use that as your lifeline, as a reminder, don't go back. Don't entertain this. This isn't a joke. This isn't like, pay attention to your bank account. So I literally was told, don't even say that person's name ever again. Like in any public platform, that person is dead to you unless you want your finances to be dead to you. I associate her with poverty. And that was how I was able to divest. I also was like, I'm not taking care of you and other people that you insisted upon. Sorry guys, balancing here. That you insisted upon. It is an unhealthy thing. So I don't want you guys to be in that position. So someone says to me, but they won. and I know they're mad, but they want me back. What's the answer you would say to them, guys? They are using you. They want to use you. They want to punish you. They are not finished with you. You don't get to dictate when you leave. They do. Even if they discard you, they want you to come back a million times until they're ready. They will use you like salvation. And the premise of that is they can be as bad as they want to until they decide they want to pray the sinner's prayer. And what that would be is apologizing or giving you some breadcrumbs, and then you should be back and you should be satisfied with that. These people are not fabulous enough, magical enough, and without your energy, they can't create anything. And that's what most of you guys, I really wish understood, and a lot of you guys do, because I get letters of you guys knowing your worth. We are the magic, we are the juju, and so they want that magic back. They want that old thing back. It's not just because they miss you or because your sex is great, and maybe all those things are true, but the real issue is that your energy is great. Your energy is fantastic. And without your energy, they realize that they cannot generate anything except for chaos. That they are around chaotic people who are chaotic, who bring chaos with them. So, what's in chaos? Everything: their health, their mental sanity and clarity, their bank account. We are catnip to narcissists because we are their emotional therapist. And so, of course, who wouldn't want their therapist to be by their side at all times? Now, when they're in the acquisition phase of the new supply, your value is greatly diminished. They literally can't see it. It's almost like they have real blindfolds on. They have no idea why you're there. They're actually really annoyed and irritated with you. Can't wait to get rid of you. Now, as annoyed and irritated with you as they are, is as much as they will miss you. I'm not telling you this to make you go back, sweetie. I'm telling you to stay clear, because that missing turns into anger, revenge, and it turns into those crimes of passion that I spoke of a moment ago. We are not here to be the victims of crimes of passion. You do not go back to somebody who has treated you that way. Sometimes I feel sorry for some of the stories I hear and some of the people. I have people that are on both ends. So sometimes narcissists reach out to me. I want my person back. I know I'm a narcissist. I heard you talk about this. How do I fix it? I've even done videos where I've asked questions for you guys to give advice. There is no fixing something sometimes. And if these people are doing their work, hey, Miss Laura, Miss Laura, is this my Miss California Laura? Sorry to tell your business. This Laura's gonna get me. Is this my Miss California Laura? Well, either way, I will continue. Um, we will not say it all where she is in California, but I was like, I have a lot of people pop on with that spelling. Ah, hi, Miss Laura. How are you? Okay, I will tell no more of your business. Don't get me. Don't get me. Um, but I will say this. If you have any commentary you would love to give about your feedback regarding narcissist or your experience, I would be happy to hear it. Sometimes we will realize later in our relationships that someone is a narcissist, and that was certainly the case for me with the covert narcissist that I dealt with. This was a best friend that I loved dearly, and I did not realize what I was dealing with until the last couple of years, and I still was praying that the horror movie wouldn't be the horror movie. Glad you're hanging in there, Miss Laura. Was praying that the horror movie wouldn't be it, but sometimes it is. And when that happens, you don't say and you ask too many questions, you just leave. And God will give you the rest of the answers that you need to set yourself free. Now, here's what I will say to you regarding, okay, they want you back, but they want you back to be mean. And I just don't want to misconstrue that to any degree. They want you back to be mean. They want you back to disturb the peace and to disturb your peace specifically. And they want you back to punish you, because how dare you want to ever set yourself free? For anybody new here that has never dealt with this is your first one, do not be tempted. I don't care if it's your friend. I don't care if it was a lover. I don't care if it was an ex-spouse. I don't care if it was a co-worker. I don't care if it was a boss. They don't necessarily care about you. And it's not a necessarily. They just don't. Let's say that emphatically. They don't care about you. They do care about saving face. They do care about their ego. They do care about their pride. Okay? So what I want you to do is to understand that this is not about you. And we empaths will project our morality onto other people. Protect yourself. When you divest from a narcissist, you don't look back. I don't care how many tears you cry. I don't care how hard it is. And it's not to say I don't care. I get it. I've been there. But what I want you to understand is you withholding your energy is so worth your freedom and the sanity. And one of the best things about divesting from a narcissist is that the further away you get from them, the clearer you are. The more you realize the manipulation emotionally, the more you realize the lies, and the more you realize the duplicity, the more you realize that they were living a double life. Do you understand? The more time away from a narcissist that you take, it just provides you with everything you need to never want to look back. But those first 2 to 3 months are tricky. And anybody, I would love to hear your comments on your experience and how long it took. Please, I don't often ask you guys to comment, but comment below, even if you're catching this on a playback. How long did it take you to not feel like you had to go back? Because we all have energetic cords and we bond and connect to people. How long did it take you to feel like you did not want to be back with that person? And I will tell you that the average time that I've noticed is about 2 to 3 months for most people. Tell me your story, though, of course. Mm. And what happens is, in the first month, it's almost like white knuckling, right? It's like, oh, I miss them. Oh, I wish we could talk. Oh, da 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 da. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I need another chance. And these are emotions that I think we all feel in any kind of disconnection from anybody we love, whether it's a family member, a friend, a lover, whatever the case may be. SDF, I was just talking about you. You'll hear it in the playback. I was making a promise that the next on camera thing that I do will be the reading of your letter. And so I just want you to know that your letter deserves FaceTime, and I'll be giving that to you here shortly. Okay, I've even printed it out so that I can make sure that I have it with me in case I don't have internet wherever I'm at. So the next time I'm on camera, we're going to be doing your letter, SDF. Okay, thank you so much for your patience with that. I've been traveling and doing all the things, so I am finally got a little time here coming up, and we will do it. Also, I'm doing my hair right now as we talk, guys. People have been like, do your makeup on screen to do this, and maybe someday. Today, y'all didn't want to see me looking like this, so I'm getting my hair together as we speak. So let me read some comments that are coming in. Hold on one second. Laura says, the day he left, girl, Laura, Miss Laura. Oh, Miss Laura. Miss Laura says she had freedom the day he left. And I know Miss Laura, and so I know she's not lying. No lies were told. All right, SDF said 2 years. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, thank you, Miss Laura. Thank you. Miss Laura said my makeup is always very pretty. SDF says 2 years to stop feeling guilt for leaving. Oh, okay. Well, SDF, may I ask, how long did it take you when you left before you didn't white knuckle and miss them? 2:22 on the clock here, an angel number of partnership. How long did it take when you left before before you were, you know what I mean? Before you weren't like, I want to call them or anything like that. Um, and let me ask you, Miss Laura, did you ever feel the need to have contact with your person? SDF says, hold on, it's not coming in. I think that says a week or 4 weeks. It's not popping up, but it's kind of hidden. A week or 4 weeks. Okay, so that's wonderful. You guys are like rock stars. Ms. Laura's like, the day it was over. SDF says a week. Ms. Laura says, hell no. Miss Laura had no temptation. Now listen, I can also really attest that Miss Laura's telling no lies. Miss Laura is a rock star, and if she ever wants to tell her story, I will definitely be happy to do that, but that will be at her time. For business only, Miss Laura said. Now that's a good point Miss Laura brings up there. Okay, SDF said 1 week. That's a good point that Miss Laura brings up. So what I will tell you here is this, is that sometimes we have to deal with the narcissist for business matters, right? So if they're an ex-spouse, or if they're an ex-friend, or let's say they're a business partner, for God forbid, you still have to take care of the logistics of life. So let's talk about a little advice on how to do that. I would do everything through correspondence, like old-fashioned, so either email or text, because what do narcissists love to do? Everyone say it with me: twist things around or twist your words around or gaslight you, right? So if you have to take care of business, my advice for that, and you can't just gray rock or cold turkey them or whatever, is make sure that if it calls for it, that you can get legal aid involved. But if it doesn't call for it, and it's just like, let's say you guys are organizing parent drop off or whatever, that kid drop off, excuse me, then make sure it's all documented in text. Because yes, people can still alter and mess with that, but at least you have your screenshot and your copies of how the conversations go. Because what do we know about a narcissist? They are slippery, and they create those squid ink disappearing acts, right? Smoke and mirrors. So they'll love to spin it into something. They love to run and hide. They love, their favorite thing is no accountability. Beyond silent treatments and gaslighting, no accountability. So if you have to talk to them because you literally have things to take care of course, we're not going to be ridiculous. We have to take care of our business. But make sure you document everything, because they will turn it against you. Laura says, yes, email and text only is considered documented. Exactly. Exactly. And you have to document it, because you need it for your own sanity. Sanity, guys, not just for your records and not just for the business, but actual, real sanity. Do you get it? You cannot, and I mean that, when you disconnect from your narcissist, whatever they are, whomever, and whatever way they show up in your life, you are going to feel like you've been like literally in a crazy house, because of all the mind games and everything. And what did I say? The further away from them that you guys are, the further away from them that you guys are. Oh, Miss Laura says hi to SDF. I love when you guys are so sweet to each other. The more clarity you'll have, okay? The more you will start to be like, oh, this is what was happening. Oh, they really did this. Um, they really did this, and all the rest of it. So, mm, mm, you'll start to realize that you are not crazy after all. And then you'll come to channels like this and you'll find healing. Dr. Romney is fantastic. Dr. Sam Benkin, who is a diagnosed narcissist. Ross Rosenberg. These are some of the people that I utilize. There's Narcology. There's all different ones that I can recommend to you guys. But what you will do is find yourself consuming a great amount of content for a while. So much so that you'll think you're crazy. You will. You'll be like, oh my gosh, is this too much? Like, I'm on these people's channel all day and night. Yes, their AdSense will love you, but what I want you to understand is it's not about how much you consume. Just like any addict, when you are breaking out of a narcissistic thing, you need rehab. Just so you were addicted to the NARC, or you had some connection to the NARC. Maybe you weren't addicted. Clearly, if you left, divested, got your backbone up, and did the right thing for you, your addiction was breaking, right? But after that, you still need healing. You still need a rehab. And these videos, these doctors, these talk-offs, even this conversation today is part of your rehab. So don't think you're crazy that you're consuming too much content. Laura says, I've been doing that for the past few months. See, Laura is, yeah, Laura found herself and was amazing. Y'all, when I tell you Laura's a rock star, and a stellar student client. She's a friend client of mine. And she feels like a friend, y'all. She feels like my favorite aunt. But that's really what she feels like. But I have watched her for years find her strength. And when I tell you she has found it and is a warrior, this is a divine feminine warrior if ever there were, in every way. But she has been consuming this content for months and giving herself the grace to do that. Sometimes you have to give yourself, and I'm not talking about my content, I'm talking about the pantheon of content that I've just mentioned from all of these fantastic actual doctors that are really here to help you. And it's free, essentially. Hold on one second. Laura says, for months, it has provided validation and clarity. Thank you. Well, no, thank you, Miss Laura. See, that's the thing about Miss Laura, is she's a fantastic student. You don't have to tell her twice about anything. She'll do her own research and dot all her T's and cross her I's. It's one, like, gold star student. I cannot say enough about her growth spiritually. But what I will say here too is that she says that the watching of the videos, I'm assuming that's what she means, has provided her with clarity. And that is what happens when you get away from the narcissist. So Miss Laura did several steps, right? She actually got away. She actually did the right thing to put space and physical time and distance between this narc. But then she listened to the pantheon of experts, right? And she listened to real people on the ground, maybe just a housewife that left a narc that made a channel and they're only getting a couple of views, but sometimes those stories will hit home to you. Trust where your angels guide you, because it's not coincidental when you stumble upon some of these channels. You'll be like, oh, well, I don't know why I'm here. Or, well, they're not Dr. Romney or they're not whatever, but someone may have a word for you that really helps you to see your relationship or your friendship or your co-workership or employeeship, whatever the dynamic was with you and the narc, differently. So give yourself the space, because I promise you, we all have stood in judgment of ourselves like, oh, am I becoming obsessed? No. It only lasts a few months and then you get out of the fever of it. It doesn't mean you ever forget the experience. It just means that you are no longer like every single video every single day. But when you feel the need to do that, lean in, because that's, you're being guided to heal. And each time you hear a validating story or a doctor give a diagnosis that we could not give ourselves, it helps you to close down the chapter. So the title of this video was all about not going back, even though, or why do they want me back? They won. They got everything they wanted. They got it. They got the new supply, or they got their freedom, or who God knows whatever a narcissist is after, right? Who could keep it up? Who could quantify? Who could care? We sure don't, right? Divine Feminines, right? Empaths, we don't care. But they got what they wanted, but they seem to still want you back. No, honey, they want your energy back. So do not be confused by that, okay? It is your energy, and they want to do one of three things. And all three, if they can. They want to punish you, they want to use you, and they want to pin you. And that means keep you like pinning butterfly wings. Literally, think of that when you go to one of those museums and butterflies are pinned. And that always made me so sad as a kid. But they want to pin you so that they could keep you as their specimen to pull off and down and pull up off the shelf as they see fit. They want that. And they want to punish you. That pinning, you see the pinning of the wings. How dare you want to flutter? How dare you want to fly? How dare you tell me that I'm full of it? How dare you identify that I've been lying on you? And one of the things that happens when you walk away, this is the bonus, beyond your money going up, right? Or beyond your finances stabilizing and your sanity stabilizing, what happens is you start to realize just how full of ish they were. If you were in any level of denial about that, what will happen is it will trickle in waves, and slowly and surely you're like, oh my gosh, they lied about this. And then people will start coming to you with information. It never fails. There has never been a client that I haven't worked with. There has never been a person that I haven't had this conversation with about their experience that hasn't said that they got intel, boots on the ground intel from their angels and ancestors. That just random people would tell them things that would validate it, or they would get it in dream states or whatever. Okay, your dreams are really powerful and important as well. But the point about this is, guys, they don't want you. They just want you back because you provided for them. Because narcissists are perpetual toddlers. They never grow up and never evolve. And you were their mother or father or whatever, whatever gender you are, however you showed up, you were providing them with some level of stability. And that's what they miss. And they have the unmitigated gall to want you to provide for whoever the new supply is as well. So that they can both punish, torture, try to triangulate you, maybe make you jealous. That you're a supply of energy, guys. So don't be that supply. Walk away, divest, white knuckle it, watch these videos, write me letters, do all the things. But guess what you'll do? You'll pass time. And I promise you. Now listen, Miss Laura said same day. SDF said it took her about a week, and it took up to 2 years to really have the guilt evaporate for SDF. But let's talk about why that is. Because we're empaths. So we are feeling things that we think they're feeling and they're really not. And that is care and consideration. Now, depending on the level of injury that the narcissist lobs against you, or depending on whether you were the one that discarded them before they could discard you, you may feel differently. So for those that have been discarded, maybe it doesn't take that long to feel guilt because you have anger still, and whatever the case may be. If you walked away from the narcissist before they walked away from you, it's highly advisable. And both of these women here have done so, that are talking today, Miss Laura and SDF. Pardon me, let me get a sip of water here, guys. Miss Laura and SDF both have walked away from their narcissist before the narcissist could discard them. And with SDF, I have her letter, so I know that to a certain degree. And with Miss Laura, because I've worked with her, I know her story specifically. But what I will tell you is this: is that when you walk away, you do get a little leg up, guys. Not all of us can do it because if you've never dealt with a narcissist, you don't realize what it is. As you're getting discarded, it can be a very confusing time, and it's designed by them to be. So do not like beat up on yourself if that wasn't your experience. And I hate to say this, but we attract narcissists, so it may not be your last opportunity to get that right. I pray for you guys, you are one and done with whatever happened to you. But what I will tell you is that you do fare better, but that doesn't mean you will not be absolved of guilt. And I will tell you, when I was still under the 2 month mark from walking away from the narcissist, I felt guilty because I knew that they had a poverty consciousness and mindset. And I had always encouraged them. I even made art for them that would encourage money to come into their house. I was just very focused on that for them. And meanwhile, back at the farm, not realizing my finances wouldn't flourish and I didn't understand it was a direct correlation to that person, ironically. But I called them, or I reached out to them, via text because I felt it laid on my heart, felt like my angels were guiding me. And I even was like, are you okay bill wise? So I know, guys, I am no perfect paragon here. Just like all of you, I have struggled, but I cared about that person. And I knew the person. So I knew that her stubbornness and her ego at that moment, considering all that had elapsed between us, wouldn't allow her to take anything from me, though her nature was to be opportunistic and a user. But just out of the quote unquote principle in that moment, I understood that it wouldn't be anything that she would do, though I meant it genuinely. She probably could have asked me at that moment for any amount because my heart was still malleable and I still felt that guilt that SDF talks about. And this was a best friend from my ender perspective for many years. I would have done anything for that person for a long time in my life. But even in that moment when I made that offer, it was legitimate. It wasn't a trick. It wasn't anything because that's not how we operate, empaths. We really care about people. But when I look back on it, now she couldn't get anything from me. Not a thing, not a dime, not a fingernail clipping. Okay, but at that time when I still cared and when I was still very heavily invested energetically, and I felt guilty because she did try to guilt trip me because narcissists will do that. You're abandoning me, even though narcissists abandon you in the relationship and cheat on you and lie on you and smear campaign you and everything else. Like the level of toxic, terrible things she did to me were never comparable to anything I did to her, as you guys understand from your own experiences. But I remember feeling that pang of guilt, and that's why I'm so grateful that I went through the experience. Because not guilt for leaving her, I didn't feel that at all. I felt no guilt about that, but I felt guilty because she was a dependent. Can we talk? Can we talk about taxes? She was a dependent energetically. She wasn't actually on my taxes, but she was a dependent emotionally. And a lot of us empaths have emotional dependence. Yes, I don't recommend that you keep a bevy of them because it will siphon your own life force and energy. You will find yourself having sicknesses and autoimmune issues and weird stuff that don't make sense. So divest if you can. But I felt responsible. So I'm not saying be Billy Badass and never have an emotion and never have a feeling and never want to check and whatever. That's not our truth. We are good humans. We are good souls. And we will check. I remember her saying to me at that time, I'm glad your angels had you reach out, or thank your angels, or I'm glad something about your angels, which is funny because she really hated the work that I did and was high key, low key hating on me from a very pious Christian kind of perspective. But my angels really did. And it was more about an experiment. It was an offer to her, an olive branch. Would you like to not be a cretin and be a decent human and have a real conversation? But the truth of the matter is that was never our destiny. And I'm grateful that it went exactly how it should. It ended up with me, spoiler alert, cussing her slam clean out because not because of that, but because all of that anger was boiling up. Another reason I recommend stay away until you really aren't emotionally invested. Could I talk to this person today? Probably. Would I know? Because I do associate her with poverty. Just her energy is a bad omen and bad luck for me. So no, I'm not emotionally invested. she could tell me any of the sob stories. I couldn't care. I couldn't find any energy to care. I mean that. I couldn't even conjure the energy to care about what's going on in her life. But there was a time where that wasn't always true, where she could have pulled me in with a sob story, or someone abused me, or this happened, or I'm worried about my son. And I would have cared, and I wouldn't have just immediately gone to cuss out, or I wouldn't have held her accountable, or I wouldn't have been like, it's funny you're worried about your son now because you weren't that. Like, you see what I mean? There's a moment where we're still emotionally invested, and if your narc can pull you back in while you're still that emotionally invested, if she would have not been the huge horrible person that she was in that moment, even in a moment of me extending a kindness of just like, listen, I don't want to talk to you, we're not going to be friends, but if you need some money, I got you, because that's just how we are. The thing about it is had any of that been taken, it was not orchestrated for that to happen. My angels did not want that to happen. They wanted to see if I was going to pass the test of being kind but also restrained, and I did. And it all worked out exactly how it should. But if I were in a more vulnerable state, that is so not a good idea. But the reason that I'm talking to you about it and sharing my end of it is because sometimes we will want to do that. We will want to connect with somebody. We will want to fix something for somebody because we love them, because we care, or we loved whatever was under their mask, or whatever their mask was. I don't know what we love sometimes. Excuse me. Sometimes I question that. But in any case, we will want that. But that doesn't mean to always act on it. And it took me months to act on it. And even upon that, I was highly restrained and highly aware that I was dealing with a highly manipulative person who was like a caged animal, who had probably had all of her hopes and dreams dashed. Not in me, but whatever thing, the narcissist is always after something. They always have some plan cooked up, right? The narc reminds me like of a more malicious Stan from the Golden Girls. You know Stan, Dorothy's ex-husband, who was always bumbling and had some like harebrained scheme and couldn't keep it in his pants, even though he probably wasn't really great in bed, but always loved Dorothy. You guys are Dorothy. Does that make sense? Every feminine energy here, every empath that's walked away from their narc, even if it wasn't a romantic connection, someone sees you as Dorothy, capable, intelligent, brilliant, smart, cutting, sarcastic, brutal. Dorothy in one of my decks shows up as the Queen of Swords. So that is an air sign. So that would be Geminian energy. Gemini is mercurial. It rules communication. So Dorothy was known for being quick-tongued, quick-witted, and all the rest of it, right? Sharp-tongued, quick-witted. So that's how your ex sees you, or whoever injured you. But they always have a new bumbling idea if you'll allow them. If they can come back to you, they'll have some new bumbling idea of something that they're not going to follow through on, and before you know it, they run off with a floozy again, and or they're siphoning your energy, or they have you invest in their harebrained scheme and you lose money. So if nothing else comes out from this, they want you back to hurt you, and also to have you be poor with them again. So let's say you say, oh, well, I wasn't really poor with that person. Like, I still had my own money. But were you emotionally poor? Were you energetically poor? They will rob you of something. It's happening right under your nose, guaranteed. Please do not underestimate it. It is happening. So they want you to be impoverished with them. Let's say they take on a new supply and they don't have the emotional bandwidth to manage a new girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. They want all of your advice, all of your energy, all of your pep talk, so that they can go revel and roll around like pigs and shit in their toxicity. They literally just want you back to use you. You were like, it's like Handmaid's Tale. It's like you are the milkmaid. It's like, it's a terrible thing. So don't go back if you can help it. And when you're feeling weak, watch more videos. In the first 3 months, let's say you just found this video today and you're still listening by the grace of God, right? And you're like, well, I'm brand new to this and I miss them so much, right? And what's so funny is if you really think about it, as you move out of the relationship, you'll realize they really weren't a partner to you. That was one of the really coolest of the epiphanies for me. I know you said that was a cool epiphany. Yes, it was. The person that I valued so much, I don't even know why now. When I think about it, I'm like, God, you were a terrible friend. You were not dependable. Whatever, whatever. I now have a lot of things to contrast it against. Really amazing friendships that had always been there, and some new ones too. But I now know what good friends look like, actually. And it's so crazy to me that I valued the friendship that I had with that person, quote unquote friendship, right? Because I was their friend. They were never a friend to me. They were never a good human. They were never considerate. They were never kind. Every chance that they could get to screw me over, be rude, be mean, to be inconsiderate, to leave an event early, to create chaos, to leave me in confusion, to not communicate, to do the silent treatment, they took it. And then told me that they were being nice to me, or they feel like being nice to me that day. Y'all, they were never a friend. It was a horrible relationship. mm, mm. And they were grandfathered into an old me, that I couldn't have been again. That's another thing to understand. The reason you don't go back, guys, is because you change. Just the act of leaving changes you. It restructures your mitochondria and your DNA. It fires new synapses. New ideas pop in. You are not the same person. I have some more comments here. Let's see what else is said. Oh, I have lots. Amen. I love it. All right. Laura says, I thought I was consuming too much at first. So Laura's talking about the video. She said she thought she was consuming too many videos at first. Never enough. And Laura says, I thought I was re-traumatizing myself by watching the videos. That's a really good point. We will think that at first because it's like all narcissist all day. So it's like, okay, you get the narcissist out of your home, your life, your apartment, your dorm, wherever they're residing with you at, or let's say they're not living with you. You just get them out of your life. And then you're like, is watching all these re-traumatizing you? I want to answer that. No, it is exactly what you need. Okay, it is you replacing one thing with another thing for a while, but it's clarifying information and it's teaching and it's important, it's pertinent information. SDF says, I found you on your Betty White video and haven't looked back. Oh, SDF, oh, thank you. I love Betty White. I'm so glad to know where we met. That's really cool. Laura said, SDF says, Laura says at FDS, that's great. Laura says, I felt like a caged bird. And I think of Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou. I know why the cage bird sings. And now Laura knows why the cage bird sings, because she freed herself. And she is freeing herself continuously. So I'm so glad you are. Kaysala, hey Kaysala. Kaysala says, hi Mona and everyone. I hope everyone is doing well and taking care of themselves. So good to hear your voice and your wisdom, Mona. Thank you, Kaysala. Laura says, hi. And Laura says, we still have care, concern, and compassion about this person. This is such a great point, Miss Laura. We do still have care and compassion about this person. And listen, like I said, today, could I care to hear her sob stories or her apology if she could ever conjure one? No, because I wouldn't believe anything, and whatever the case may be. If years pass, maybe could I imagine I could. But again, like I said, the game that I had to play with myself, or the game that my angels played with me, was associate this person with poverty. Do you like your coins? Then steer clear. So I just can't, because sometimes people handle things so badly that it's irreparable. There's nothing to say. And sometimes they don't. Now, there have been narcissists that I knew were narcissists that I moved away from, and then eventually, there was a cordial word or two, but I knew exactly who they were, and they were never allowed back in my energy. That's the greatest punishment for a narcissist. And there are some that will handle it so badly that you're like, good riddance. I can't even believe I let you around me ever. Unfortunately, the covert for me falls into that. Like, I can't even believe how horrible they were in the last bit of it. And then I thought about how horrible they always were, and how they always did silent treatments and always left early and always made vacations miserable. And I was like, God, you're just such a horrible person. There's no redeeming quality. And that had nothing to do with the new supply. That's how they treated, and that's how they were way before that new supply was on the scene. So we do still have care and compassion for people, yes, but use it wisely. Okay, doesn't mean we don't care about them. If they're sick, if they need medicine, if they need money, like I said, we will still extend ourselves. I certainly did, but it worked out exactly for me how it should have, which is what I really extended was a cuss out by the time it was over with. But that's okay. We all need that too sometimes, a little outlet moment. If you don't have that, it's okay too. Okay, you get to cuss them out to yourself in the mirror. You can write about it in your journal. There's lots of ways to get that done, but don't think that you're crazy or that you're weak. Specifically, I want to speak to that. If you find yourself thinking, are they okay as a human? Not are they okay and I miss them, but are they okay as a human? Okay. Hey, Salah says, yes, I wish I had never reached out to him. I felt guilty for calling him out, and I wanted to actually talk about his decline, or he declined, but I was so hurt about it. But that was before I learned what that was. Kaysala says, I always feel like I was the bad person. They want you to feel that, Kaysala. They want you to feel that. I remember specifically um having to tell the covert, like, I can't rock with you, homie. Like, this is too much even for me. And I said, you understand what I do. I essentially provide emotional therapy. I do readings. I do all this stuff. I'm incredibly patient and liberal. The situation that the covert narc had manifested for themselves in my life, mm, it was one that, yeah, I didn't approve of, but you don't need my approval to live. She'd been living, she was grown, she was allowed to make her decisions. It was beyond approval. It was that it was dangerous and it was deleterious and it was going to have backlash for her son, which it did, and still providing backlash for her son. And I could see it as a practitioner and as a spiritualist. I could see what she was refusing to see and what she was insisting upon being in denial about. And what I realized, let me see what Kaysella said, is that in the end of it, she said something to me about, you're abandoning me. And I said, no, sweetie, you abandon yourself. Because if you can't work with me, you're not going to work with anybody. And it doesn't mean one of those like toxic things you say in a Lifetime movie, like, if I can't, I'm the best person. No, 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 there are other people. And that's one of the things that I had to really wrap my head around. There is a better person for her. But insofar as healthy dynamics and relationships, this is not what she specialized in. She specialized in chaos, confusion, subterfuge, lies, and demonic energy. And so, no, we weren't going to work well together. And it doesn't matter what kind of therapist I am or how patient I was. But she wanted to gaslight me into thinking that I had abandoned her because she was triggered. Because after pushing away and being terrible and toxic and duplicitous and a liar, she was very hurt that I could walk away from that. Because what are we known for, empaths? Our incredible long suffering. And that's something I would love to rebrand us for, right? I want us to be known for being spicy, intelligent, quick witted, fantastic. Yes, we're giving, and yes, we're compassionate, but don't feel bad because that's what they want you to feel. And as soon as she sent me that, I knew. As soon as she said that to me, I was like, "Oh, sweetie, you planned this. You orchestrated this, my love. I cannot, I cannot, in good conscience, let you think that anybody was abandoned except for yourself. You abandoned your sensibilities, and that's what narcs will do." So Kaysella says that was before I listened to myself, and now I don't want them, him, former friends near me ever again. Bing, bing, bing. Ring, ring, ring goes a trolley. That right there. Let's underscore that. Let's underline that. Let's highlight that. Let's make that bold. That is the truth. When I say, I talk to so many of you guys that are like, I am disgusted by this person. And if you watch my videos from a couple years back, you will hear the disgust that I have for that person. I am disgusted with that person a couple years back. I'm not as, like, now I get it. It's like the circle of life, girl. Let's just sing the Lion King. It's the circle of life. Am I disgusted? Do I think that they're the worst person that's ever walked on the earth? No. They are a person with lower vibrations and attachments that was always going to make the wrong decision, that never picked a right one to make. Couldn't pick a right decision if you put it in their hand. Um, but are they disgusting? No. But I think that that vitriol that we feel lets us um lets us protect ourselves and it keeps us safe. Do you know what I mean? Like, I needed to hate her initially. I did. I needed to absolutely feel as disgusted, turned off, and whatever else. Now, where my continued buffer happens is about the way that I feel that she treated her child, and I don't forgive things like that when it comes to children. So I know we all make our choices and we do the best we can. As Maya Angelou also says, when you know better, you do better. But she knew better. So I'm not God. I don't have grace to give her. Okay, God, she can pray to God for that. But talk about never wanting anybody around me. And what was the catalyst when you said that? I don't want him or his friends around me. The people that she was associated with were what I couldn't manage. I was like, oh, I don't get paid enough for this, sweetie. Like, you're not paying me enough energetically, and you never have. You've never put enough into my bank for me to manage these maniacs over here, and these murderers over here, and these actual racist people over here. And you now are associated, so you're guilty by association, and I can't separate it, and I can't unsee it. So that is a big measure of protection. Do I feel as vehemently, about the surrounding murderous people? Absolutely. About her, yeah, I do. But, that's one of the beautiful things about years passing is, for us, it dissipates. We were never meant, empath, to carry the weight of hating someone forever. It's just not our emotional makeup. And it cost us a lot to be in that energy. And so it was expensive for me to be there emotionally, because that's my default, is loving and helping and facilitating and helping people work through their stuff and, like, digging through the dirt, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm a person that's nosy. I'll tell people, I say my angels are nosy in the readings, but when I say I'm nosy, like, I want to get to the bottom of why this is happening for you, and let's fix it, and let's make some attachments to other relationships so we don't repeat that. So when you do that, you can't hold anger and grudges. That is for those low vibrational people. But I do think that a healthy grudge and some healthy anger helps keep us in a strong level of distance so that we never return. Now that anger is more replaced with she is literally bad luck. So just stay away from her because she's bad luck. Does that make sense? That's how mine worked. Now, not everybody's that way. If you dealt with someone that was physically abusive, that you had to put in jail, that actually had to have cuffs get out, girl and boy, whoever is listening, that's a different story altogether, and keep them away from you expeditiously for the rest of your life. I also advise highly never engaging, because giving any narc the satisfaction of having you think that you've forgiven them is all that they're living for. And again, I want to bring up Johnny Depp and Amber Rose, where he said he would never look at her again. The greatest punishment he could levy to Amber is literally sitting with her day after day and never catching her eye and never looking at her. It killed her, and she said as much on the stand. So do be like Johnny and take your energy back completely, because narcissists just want to re-traumatize you. Let me finish what she said. I needed and still need to work with my dark femininity. Okay, Sala is talking about dark femininity. She's referring to Lilith. Lilith is considered the first woman, actually. So there was Adam and Eve, right? Eve. Before Eve, there was considered Lilith. So Lilith had a conscientious awareness and did what she wanted to do and was not controlled or in submission. Lilith is considered dark energy. So when we're working with dark feminine energy, we're talking about Lilith. Not everybody. There are a lot of archetypes of powerful dark feminine energy. I'm thinking of one in the East Indian lore. I've talked about her here before. Kali. Kali is also dark feminine energy. Kali is actually really terrifying. If you look at her, she's trampling her husband, fiance, spouse, whoever it is, but she's done it by accident because she's in a rage, and she's in a rage because she is literally responsible for like eating the heads off of demons, and she wears the demons necklaces on. Oh, she wears her heads as a necklace. So if you see a picture of Kali, she has many arms, but she has these demons on her head, these skulls, and so everybody's always like terrified and they misunderstand. But what Kali is about justice. She's like, absolutely no lies will be told, no evil shall be had here, and she goes into like a bloody murderous rage where she quite literally, in the lore of East Indian culture, eats the heads of the demons that are duplicitous. So people fear Kali, but they don't understand that her whole aim is justice, like unapologetic justice, like I'll kill you if I have to, and I don't mean actual killing. In theory, this goddess Kali is someone who will do that. This is not our reality. But and let me talk about this here because I think it's a really good point. Kesala talks about dark feminine energy. That dark feminine energy is what saves us. So we all have seen that book, Why Men Love Bitches. We've all seen about our inner bitch fire and how we have to bring that out. That saves us, because what we have been socialized to do as women, more often than not, is to be kind to our abusers. Yes. To not talk about it at the family function if it's incestuous, to not talk about it because that's the family friend, to not upset anybody, and eat our pain, and eat, how ironic that I'm just talking about Kali, to eat our pain and to eat our poison and to eat our trauma so that everyone else around us is happy. When we start working with our dark feminine energy, when we start working with our shadow side, what happens is we are giving ourselves permission to be bloody angry, to be upset, to be pissed, to be unapologetically perhaps cruel, in the preservation of the most important thing we will ever have, which is our precious femininity, which has probably been trampled on. If you feel called to tap into dark feminine energy, and the thing about it is there's no right or wrong, and no one can tell you, hey, you're about to get into your dark feminine, so just like heads up, 7-Up, sis. It will hit you like a ton of bricks. You will be amazed at your strength, your temerity, and your ability to not deal with bullshit when you're in your darker feminine energy. I want you, as women here listening today, to tap into this a little bit with me. When we get into our moon cycle, so I don't care if you're in menopause or not, remember your cycles. Remember, a sweet friend calling. Remember your cycles. Remember your moon phases. Remember all of that. So remember your like your period is what I'm talking about specifically. I've had videos up here where I talk about it, blood rage. So remember that. Do you remember how easy it is if you are not in it anymore, or if you still have your cycle, to have discernment at that time? You don't deal with anybody's BS. You are far less tolerant, and your answers are clear. You know exactly what you want, from a craving for food to space and time to not to deal with that bullshit coworker who tried you 3 times that you might want to cuss out. You know that feeling, guys, that blood rage, and it's something that my angels started to work with me on, and they said this is in part dark feminine energy, not in an evil way, but every woman has access to it every single month. And even if they don't remember it anymore because they're out of that stage, they know what that feels like to be so clear. Now, what we get as a trade-off when we enter into menopause is we have just a greater sense of ourselves, we accept ourselves more, and we are far less tolerant of BS anyway. So it's like a handoff into wisdom. I consider that. So for anybody that's there, you've been handed off into wisdom. You don't need the cycle anymore to remind you that you don't deal with BS or suffer fools lightly. But that dark feminine energy saves our lives. And in my own spiritual battle, no, I wasn't on my cycle the whole time, gratefully, but it certainly was something that I tapped into, and it was 100% necessary to clean my soul and my energy. Does that make sense? It made it so that I could clean out the toxicity of other people as well. So I'm really happy to hear that you're there, Kesala, because I cut people off so quickly, so swiftly, and I never looked back. But I was operating out of my Lilith energy. I was like, not today, Satan, not tomorrow, and never again in the past. It's over. It is finished. And when I said it, I crossed myself like my mother taught me as a young little Catholic, okay? I crossed my chest and I said, it is finished. I meant that. Darker energy is necessary for us to survive. And so don't be scared. If you're a new person here, you're like, whoa, this went left. Lilith, dark energy, Kali, demon eating. These are archetypes of women that are necessary for us to remember our power. We don't operate out of that all the time. Think of us when we're in love and we're sweet and we're malleable. That's not dark energy. That is the heights of femininity, divine femininity. But I suggest and submit to you today that that dark feminine energy is 1000% necessary for your survival. And if any of you guys have ever left a relationship with a narcissist in any capacity, from lover to friend, that dark feminine energy is what you access. And you did it again and again until you were free. It makes sure that you're clear. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing that, Kesala. A little nice thing to tap into. Laura says to Kesala, we have a tendency to want to make others always feel comfortable. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Hence the feeling of guilt when we stand up for ourselves. Laura is so right. And Laura is such a brilliant example of someone who has balanced feminine and masculine energy. I have adored working with Laura because she has a cutoff game that is sick. It is sickening. It's so good. I've learned so much from working with her because she identifies her emotions. She knows immediately when something is BS. She plays no games. I'm telling you, a masterclass someday she shall teach, because she's got a masterclass in her, because she's done it to set herself free. I'm so proud of her, but she's not wrong. Rain says, hey Mo, hey sweet Rain. Egypt, 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 someday, Rain. Laura says, no stand. That's right. Rain says, hi, Evolvers. Emotionally poor. Say that again for the people in the background. That yes, they are emotionally poor. Amen. True. Always horrible. Every month, every year, every holiday, every memory, everything. Y'all, I even got distracted doing my hair. The conversation got so good. I love you guys. Let me read that again. Always horrible. Every month, every year, every holiday, every memory, everything. It's spoken word, it's prose, it's poetry of disgusting people, which we call narcissists. It's so true. They ruin everything. I don't recall with that friend. We had happy moments, of course, I'm sure we did. I wouldn't have been there for just pure unadulterated misery every day. But what I will tell you is that they were orchestrated by me. It was by me jostling her like she was somebody's infant in my energetic arms and being like, does this make you happy? Does this make you happy? Does this make you happy? You know, we're renowned for being people pleasers, guys, right? So I did that. And she would just be the most ungrateful, miserable, ruin up everything, sabotage everything, leave me stranded places kind of person, and just be like, oh, I just felt like I wanted to leave. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Oh, I didn't want to be here. Oh, why did you bring me here? The ingratitude. And never in her life again will she have anybody do any of those things for her. And I'm not saying it as a wish, it's just a fact. Guys, empaths, please know how magical we are. Please know how special we are. She will never have anybody love her kid, love her in combo. It'll never happen. She might find someone to love her nonsense, but she'll never have what she thought she didn't want. It's funny how that works. But they ruin everything. And I hear that from everybody, guys. I certainly have my story, surely. But wow, I'm appalled at how cravenous these people are. I mean, if there is a birthday that they can suck the life out of, man, the life shall be sucked. If there is a moment, if there is an occasion, they will ruin everything. And when I tell you, if she had a fit, a tantrum, if she felt rejected, then trust you me, you're going to feel it too. If she wanted a silent treatment in you because it was Thursday and she was bored and the medicine wasn't working, then that's what she was going to do. Every single thing they ruin. Okay, let's see here. They never make the right decision. That resonates so hard. That was something that I observed. That's what SDF said. That was something that I observed. I had known the covert NARC for 20 years. Yeah. I've lost track of the time frame now that it's been a while since I've been engaged with that person, but yeah, and I remember them getting into a relationship that was really toxic and terrible, and I knew it was going to be toxic and terrible, and I told them so, but they were in love, and we were in our 20s, so, what does a good best friend do? You ride for your best friend, you hold their hand, and you pray you don't have to sing the Eve song, Love is Blind, and that they don't lose themselves completely. And so, hold on one second. So glad I have water, and I plugged up my phone, and I'm still doing my hair. I took a break, but I'm back at it. All right. So, anyway, they were in this relationship. Thank you, angels. I lost my train of thought. They were in this relationship. It was toxic AF, okay? And they were neglectful AF to their child. And I watched them traipse their child around to hotels and all kinds of really trashy, nonsensical things because they was in love and, write hot checks and do all kinds of just shenanigans. We were in our 20s, so I excuse it. Whatever, right? Long story short, fast forward 20 years later, and she meets another person who's worse than the first person. The first person at least knew who I was mildly respectful, was like, hey, you're an Earth Angel. Before I even understood what Earth Angels were, this kind of really not great partner of my besties was like, God, you're so different, and you're, she was a redneck who was fully racist, but for whatever reason had reverence and respect, and that's why I suppose it was not off with her head in any way. And when I say I allowed, as empaths, that we can influence and allow things to happen, or we can kind of shift it around. So I didn't use any of my quote unquote powers to do anything. I just let the relationship play out because I felt like it was an experience that my friend needed, and I am not God. So we don't interfere unless there's some dire thing happening, right? So I was like, well, this is not healthy. It's toxic. I imagine you'll learn from it. She didn't. And so she fast forwarded, and when it was time to get her out, I got her out. I advised her what to do, and we did the salt. Miss Laura, don't kill me. We did the salt, and we got her out. So we fast forward. I counsel her. I stay by her side. I felt very assigned to her as an Earth Angel. You guys know my theory. Earth Angels were assigned assholes, right? So I felt very assigned to her, and really her child, because I knew that she would be a terrible parent because she didn't do two things well, meaning she wasn't good at being a mother as well as being a lover to anybody. She could not manage that. She couldn't manage any two things well. It wasn't just that combo. Any two things, she would mess it up. So never making a right choice, never having any good energy around that. And her son was worthy of being adored. And I wanted to make sure he felt loved. And I felt like I would be a surrogate parent energetically. And she asked me to do as much, and I did. I was happy to do it. But the thing about it is when she got into the relationship the second time around, and I was like, you should know better. And you are choosing the worst person I've ever seen you be. I don't know how you could choose somebody worse than the child's father, but you did it. They're really great at making the worst choice ever. So the new supply was her karma, really. Kind of funny now that I think about it. And in the beginning, I was like, drag her ass, because petty. Petty. We ain't got no alibi. You petty. I was petty. I was, but especially because I was like, you're not heeding the warning, you're not heeding my predictions, you're not anything. And I'm like, people pay me for this. Like, homie, you're my homie. Like, I'm gonna give you the straightest, purest, rawest facts I could give. Well, anyway, she didn't listen. And then the neglect that she heaped upon her child was so disgusting to me. And I watched him spiral out of control because of the toxicity that this mother decided to be associated with. And she didn't understand the correlation, but I did. I could never not see it. And it just really broke my heart. But beyond that, it broke me out of my it broke me out of my illusion. Hold on one second. I want to see what you said here. Blah, blah, blah. They never make the right decision. Yep. Yeah, it broke me out of my illusion because I thought 20 years ago I let you do this, meaning I watched it happen. I couldn't have stopped it. So let's relative, right? Like I'm nobody's God. But I was like, okay, I see this is not going to go well, but you choose to do this. So, okay, here we are. But the second time around, I was like, no. And then the way that she was behaving with me, because a narcissist will rub off on other people. So the person that she aligned with was more malignant narcissist. She was more covert. So she started to be like, she was always terrible, but it was a different level. And I was like, oh, this is, no, I don't get paid enough for this. It's above me now. And I got out of it. But it was so interesting because I was like, gosh, how do you make the wrong decision every time? Like every time, like every single time that you choose like the worst, most toxic thing that's now endangering the life of your child, actually. So I was off the reservation at that point. But I've seen it with other narcissists too. But that was such a powerful lesson to me because I was like, oh wow, you literally had like a buffet and said this, the worst thing possible. I'll never understand it. And I missed one of Laura's comments. Oh yes, they can come back, and how their path turns out is not my concern. And that's right. Stay right there with it. And Laura says, I am probably more masculine right now. This is a great point, Laura. I'm so glad you made it. Divine Feminines, are you with me? If you're here listening, do not beat yourself up in the first year. That's right, year, calendar 365. Do not beat yourself up for being in masculine, if you read tarot, King of Swords energy, off with everybody's head. The reason I say the King of Swords is because it's masculine. Masculine energy does not negotiate. So when we're accessing our dark feminine energy, our Lilith energy, our Kali energy, we can vacillate back into our sweet Hawaii energy. If you guys were here at the beginning of the year, I did a series about Hawaii and New York and femininity. And this whole year, my angels have been really teaching me about masculine and feminine energy and submission. All these buzzwords we're hearing, but I've been learning about it from a different angle, from a more metaphysical angle, right? So hypergamy, high value, all of that stuff, but I've been dealing with it in my own life. So here's the deal. We, after getting into a battle, will become the warriors that were in the garden. So what is this quote? It is better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war. That means that a gardener would get killed in the war. But if you are a warrior, planting your flowers, living in your feminine energy, unsuspecting, when it's time to unsheath your sword and take out that masculine energy, because a sword is phallic, and be off with everybody's heads unapologetically, because a queen might say, let's decide. A queen still will call for a head, but there's a more forethought, kindness, and emotion put into it. With masculine energy, there's none. When you have dealt with a narcissist, you will be flipped into masculine energy. That is such a good point, Miss Laura, that I may make a separate video about it. Because so many women write me and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel out of order. I feel da-da-da. Now I'm making more money and I feel more in control in my life because masculine energy is responsible for that. Being a conquistador, going out, getting the bag, all that doesn't mean women can't. It just means that when we're in masculine energy, we're more acquisitory that way. And also when we're in masculine energy, we're more self-protective, unapologetically. Right? So for the first year of getting out of a toxic relationship, whether it's with a narcissist or not, you will find yourself in masculine energy. You may judge yourself for it, but do not It is a function of your survival. It is created to be there to help you never look back. So for those of you that are like, I would never look back, I know you're in masculine energy because masculine energy doesn't. How many of you guys have dated an F-boy or two or three, and when they make their F-boy decision, do they vacillate? Nay, nay, they do not. Doesn't matter how many tricks you do or how much you want it to be different. Masculine energy, once its mind is made up, is decisive. And that is necessary for your survival. So I laud, value, and applaud. I edify and lift you up in that masculine energy. The pendulum will swing back to the left and then it will center and balance itself. But it takes about a year for you to be like everyone could get it until you start to soften again. And if I hadn't gone through it myself, I couldn't speak to it. But I know it to be true. And now I have been literally documenting this, guys, because I have so much information from this, from talking to my clients. Really, I'm so blessed and grateful for that. But it is a consistent thing. I wish that there was a scientist that was studying this. I guess maybe they gave this as my assignment here in this life, because I wish that women understood it's okay. When you have to fight, you will be in masculine energy. That is always in you, and it's a necessity for your survival, but it is not who you become completely. It will evaporate and melt off of you when you are safe again. So, my friends, my sweet friend, Miss Laura, be in that, because right now you need that. And when the time is right, it will no longer be as prevalent, but you will always be a tool that you can refer back to, which will keep you safe as you endeavor into future connections at your own pace. That's a really great point. Thank you, Miss Laura. Let's see. Rain says, yes, Laura, Egypt is in sight. Amen, Rain. I love to hear it manifesting. Laura says, trying to protect and guard myself is at 1,000. SDF said they would literally wake me up every morning with yelling and screaming and turning the lights on, starting my days with a fight or flight. Wow. That's so powerful, guys. Like, I keep thinking I'm going to end the live, and then you guys keep coming up with more stuff. It's so good. That's not good. Oh my God. What this person was doing, he or she, was literally like jangling bells to throw off your automatic nervous system, your atomic nervous system, excuse me, and creating situations where you literally couldn't get your grounding, because we all have a wake up routine, right? Whatever that may be. So for me, I get up, I brush my teeth, I go to the bathroom, I go out to a quiet space, and then I make noise. I bring my singing bowls depending on what my soul needs for the day. I play various instruments depending on what it needs, or I listen to a meditation, or I meditate, right? Or I'll make a video. Some mornings, after a little bit of time for myself, I want to talk to you guys. Some very early, you guys have seen that happen. We all have our routine, whatever that may be. For me, it's a lot about connecting with all of that vibrational sound stuff. So to have someone throw that off for you on a regular basis is someone who is declaring war. Do you see why you need to be in masculine energy to leave? Someone has declared war on you on a regular basis to engage your fight or flight. That's insane. It's insane, which raises your cortisol level, which increases your stress, which causes hair thinning, which causes weight gain around the middle, which causes autoimmune issues. And so many of my empaths don't realize that they've been tortured by this person. They think, oh, it wasn't that bad. He didn't quote unquote beat me or this or that. Oh, my loves, you are tortured by someone who is invasive, duplicitous, and unyielding. And you were always in a state of flight, something our bodies were never designed to be. Think about our first ancestors that ran from dinosaurs. That was a sprint that they would have to do. They were not marathon running for 26 miles from a dinosaur. The dinosaur was bigger than them, faster than them, and they had to run quickly and zig and zag. And that was designed to last maybe at tops 3 to 4 minutes, and that's a long time. So to have a narcissist waking you on a daily basis with disruptive behavior, or to have a narcissist sprinkling in silent treatments at random as they feel that they're like, oh, well, it wasn't so bad, I just didn't talk to them. But for us who deal with trauma issues or abandonment issues or whatever your thing is, that is a huge trigger akin to running from the dinosaur. And they, on a deeper intrinsic level, understand it, and they want to lob that against you, because these are the weapons of war. Never underestimate that you were in a battle, my sweet divine feminines. So if you're in masculine energy, so fucking what? You need to be there. Not only do I love it, I sanction it, I applaud it. Stay in it as long as you need to until you feel safe. And you'll know when it's time to peek your head out the cave. I'm so proud of you guys that got away. You were brilliant and you made your escape. It was necessary. Laura says, I was in spiritual warfare, and I can attest that Laura was. Truly, right down to demonic energy at the end. It was crazy. Um, Rain says, I'm right there with you, Laura. And Rain says, we have to because no one else will. We are being trained for the next battles. Yes, it is spiritual warfare. Yes, it's about safety and security. And you guys don't know Miss Laura, but safety and security is kind of her thing. She's kind of like an all around, like literally kept people safe. So I'm gonna stop because I don't want to tell all her stuff. But Laura literally, I can't wait for Laura to share her story someday. But she knows about safety, so she's doing it for herself. And for those of you guys still listening, you have done it for yourselves too. Preparing for the next battles. I want to say something about that. I don't want us to always live in a state of fight, right? Or flight, right? I want us to get to a place where we have peace in our lives. But spiritual warfare comes to us all, and battles come to us all. Tower moments, if you read the tarot, come to us all, foreseen and unforeseen. And it doesn't mean that we are bad people because that happens or that we attracted it. There is something to be said. We have Akashic records, right, that we access where we're supposed to learn lessons. But it doesn't mean that you attract every bad thing that happens to you. Some of these things are here to teach you, and you didn't attract a damn thing. It was foisted upon you to help you grow, even if it sucks in the worst way. But if you've ever loved a narcissist, yes, you were in spiritual warfare. And demonic energy was definitely afoot. And I can attest to it from my own experiences, but I can more attest to it from yours. And I'm grateful for every one of you who have shared their energy with me, who have taken the time to communicate your story with me and to let me know that there is more. Um, there is more. And that there is life after narcissistic abuse. It started off as one thing, as these videos often do, and it ends as another. But my favorite part is I got to spend time with you. Laura says it is 2:22 her time, and that's a perfect time to end because 2:22 is about partnerships and it's about friends. It's about coming together with people. And so many of us that have been in abusive relationships do not think that we'll ever have a partnership again, or do not think that we will. Now, I know SDF stories and how it ends, and yes, partnership can be found. And I know in my case, for me, it was a bestie, and God sent me the best bestie around for me, right? So I never thought that I would have another friendship that was good. And I thought I don't have 20 more years to invest into somebody. And God restored the years that the locust that NARC had eaten, who had the audacity and the gall out of dripping poisonous teeth and fangs to say to me, I hope you don't think I wasted your time. When she did nothing but waste my time purposely and with freaking glee. And I was devastated because I thought that's not fair. Where's my bestie? I was a bestie to her. How come I've never had the bestie experience? Well, God sent it to me quickly as soon as I divested from her. And I've never had a better person in my life ever. Never in my entire life. I did not think that I would get the quality that I did. And God said, why do you doubt it? You gave that level of quality. They just didn't appreciate it. They were never about it. For anybody here doubting partnership, and Laura, it is no coincidence that you mentioned that. You know I love you, Miss Laura. It is no coincidence. I know where you're at, but I also know where you're going. It's a hazard of the job. And that's okay. You don't have to try again. You're welcome, Miss Laura. You are so welcome. You do not have to try again, but the universe is going to try for you. I'm an eternal romantic and eternal optimistic, but I know that when we come out of narcissistic abuse, it is the absolute last thing that we want for ourselves, and that's why the universe has me here for some of you, because I want it for you, and I will it for you, but only when you're ready, only when you're out of masculine energy, only when you feel safe. I will hold space with you, and I will hold space for you until you get there. And when you get there, we'll talk more about 222. But until then, just know that this is the partnership that you're in with this new community, with people that are like-minded, with a soul tribe, with me. That's enough for right now. If it's supposed to be something else, it will be, all in due time, because they want you to enjoy being free. I love you guys so much. I know exactly where you're at, Miss Laura. And yes, Rain, I speak that with you, and so it is. Rain says, I pray and believe that I will get the love I desire and deserve. Let that be a mirror mantra to anybody here today. I pray and believe that I will get the love that I desire and deserve. I pray and believe that I will get the love I desire and deserve. Bye, Miss Laura. I'm also signing off as well. So good to share energy with you today. What a lovely chat. I appreciate everybody that popped by with their opinions. And if anybody's commenting afterwards, you've got this, sis. You've got this, king. You've got this, queen. You've got this from masculine energy to Lilith. You've got this from Kali to femininity to your beautiful self. Black magic to white magic to all the magic, right? We are incredible and we are regenerators. And I'm so grateful to share energy with you as you grow and protect yourselves in all the miraculous ways that you do. Your love will find you. 222. Look up that number. Connection will find you. Partnership will find you. Healing will find you. New besties will find you. Proper alignments will find you. The right job will find you. The income will find you. The thing that you are wanting is wanting you, my loves. And a lot of you are just wanting some peace and a little help from above. And you will get it in spades. And so it is. Thank you so much for joining me. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue, and I mean it, to evolve together.